I love it when two great actors are paired together for a film. Hollywood loves it. And fans, well, they love it too. Die My Love looks like a gritty melodrama that Patterson and Lawrence have really given their all into. I can't wait to see it.
Do you think The Hunger Games is cooler than Twilight?
This is the skin of a killer, Bill.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Edward and Bella. Peter and Katniss. Edward and Katniss. The fanfictions are endless. Every interview I've seen for Die My Love seems to be centred around The Hunger Games and Twilight, two major blockbuster series from the era of Hot Topic and blogging. Now, why is this, you may ask? Is it because fans will obsessively search for more and more content about their favourite series? Yes. Yes, it is. But we need to look further than that. For a film described by The Guardian as a ferociously intense study of a lonely, passionate woman and her descent into bipolar disorder, marketing it using a 17-year-old film about sparkly vampires seems like it would be a strange choice. But it works. Many moviegoers go to the cinema, they sit down with their June popcorn buckets and their Tango ice blasts, and the trailers begin to play. And when the trailer for Die My Love comes on, they won't see Grayson Jackson. They might not even see Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson. They'll see Katniss and Edward. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing. So Hunger Games fans, put down your bows, and Twilight fans, put down your baseball bats. Despite these franchises coming out over a decade ago, the characters on screen resonated with audiences so much that they began to transcend the film. We got Katniss t-shirts, Katniss nail polish, Katniss trading cards, even Katniss rubber ducks. Edward versus Jacob caused actual physical fights in my primary school. But suddenly the franchises were over, and it was time to say goodbye to Edward and Katniss, and for the sun to set on the PG-13 landscape of film that was the early 2010s. But it never did. People loved the series. They didn't want it to end, so they didn't let it. In the age of the internet, you will be able to find a community for whatever niche your heart desires. A Reddit page about eating oranges in the shower? Sure, why not? A genuine love for the characters, and in turn, the actors playing them, forms a relationship between the viewer and the character. Typically, this isn't a problem.
Would you say that you are Madonna?
I am Madonna.
With some exceptions. Fans always feel a connection to fictional characters. It's how we enjoy movies. Either we see ourselves in that character, or see ourselves forming some sort of relationship with them. This has been a storytelling technique since cave paintings, and it usually enhances the viewing experience. Until Hollywood exploits it. Hollywood sees the fans bringing them the big bucks from franchises such as Hunger Games and Twilight, and they love it. Collectively, the two franchises made over $6 billion, a huge payday for many Hollywood execs. These same producers saw that fans had formed an intimate connection to the characters on screen. They saw that with the rise in access to information, people suddenly cared about whether Anthony Mackie would rather wear tights or a 12-foot cape.
I have great thighs.
Or just how does Blake Lively keep her hair so flawless? In fact, 5 million people cared. In 2015, channels such as Hot Ones and BuzzFeed Celeb were taking off. The creators of these channels had seen a gap in the market to capitalise on these fandoms. The primary content of these channels were a new hybrid style of interview, the Chill interview. The Chill interview allowed for fans to both learn about an upcoming film whilst watching their favourite actors compete in games, play with puppies, or whatever the hell this is.
Yes! Three Labubus doing 6-7 at McDonald's drive-thru.
Oh, brother!
Production studios were happy, fans were happy, hell, Sean Evans was very happy. So what's the problem? Parasocial relationships are described by psychologists Horton and Wohl as a one-sided mediated form of social interaction between the audience and media characters. Film and television are the mediums with the highest rate of parasocial relationships, with that number continuing to climb as technology progresses. It's a one-sided relationship as these characters don't exist and they never will. There are
Fugazi, Fugazi, it's a wazi, it's a woozy, it's a fairy dust. It doesn't exist.
So we have all these fans obsessed with people that don't actually exist. This leads to psychological displacement of these emotions. And who's the closest match to the characters on screen? The actors portraying them. If you've ever watched any media and thought something along the lines of, boy, I would love to have a drink with them, congratulations, you've entered a parasocial relationship. The implicit assumption behind the drinking buddy concept is that the concept measures some form of interpersonal affinity toward a candidate. Feeling this interpersonal affinity toward a character or actor is usually a positive thing. You are attaching personal emotions to a character, which is exactly what the writer wants you to do. Ebert said, "We give up conscious control over our intelligence. We become voyeurs. We become people who are absorbed into the story. If that story's working, and it's an emotional experience." Again, none of this seems like a bad thing. So I ask, what's the problem?
We have a problem.
Large corporate film distributors and advertising agencies are starting to understand how to abuse this psychological phenomenon. When actors do interviews for Hot Ones and BuzzFeed as part of a press release, it's helping to form that parasocial connection before the film has even hit theatres. Take Die My Love for example. In this interview, Jennifer Lawrence says her favourite snack is pretzels.
Those pretzels that you dipped in nacho cheese.
And as a viewer you may think, hey, I too love pretzels, she's just like me. Which would inspire you to go see the film, as you've already felt a connection to one of the lead actors. This is all manufactured. Bibbly Bubs commented on the interview.
Honestly, two of the most effortlessly real people in Hollywood.
And that's what the point of the interview is, to seem effortless and real. A viewer can form a connection much faster that way, especially when they're relating to a subject that the viewer holds close. When actors become more personable, the audience member can come to know and relate to the media personality in relatively the same manner as he or she would to a real-life friend, and hence, possibly have several functions of companionship fulfilled through the media figure. To give an example, cute puppies. Objectively, everyone loves cute puppies. Just look at this one. And how about this one? Pairing actors up with these cute puppies can subconsciously form a positive association in the viewer's brain. And believe it or not, this helps to sell a film. This marketing technique can be addressed by a psychological theoretical framework labelled the elaboration likelihood model. This theoretical model, created by Richard Petty and John Cacioppo in 1981, proposes that a change in attitude may occur through one of two different processing routes, the central route or the peripheral route. Okay, let's break this down. Central route processing produces attitude change based on careful evaluation of the arguments contained within a message. If an active viewer, let's call him Taylor Lautner, carefully watched and evaluated one of these Chill interviews, he'd be able to grasp that the primary incentive of the content isn't entertainment, it's advertisement. However, Taylor, through central route processing, may resonate with the content and whether it is advertising. Taylor would then consciously seek out similar content to consume. Historically, this is how marketing, through the avenue of interviews, has operated. The second channel of persuasion is through the peripheral route, which is associated with less thoughtful processing, such as a reliance on cues or heuristics that are unrelated to the actual merits of the message. Let's say Taylor just wants to watch a YouTube video to switch his brain off to, so he puts on a video of Tom Holland playing with cute puppies during an interview. Now Taylor loves puppies, like the rest of us, and apparently, just like Tom Holland. It doesn't matter what Tom Holland is talking about, the actual merit of the message. It matters that he is playing with the cutest puppies in the world, which act as the cues or heuristics. This modern process is valuable to production studios, as fans such as Taylor create a subconscious positive association through the peripheral route processing, which makes them more likely to seek out content involving Tom Holland. For example, any upcoming movies that are releasing on the same day as this interview. Okay, now that the psychology lesson is over, we can look at when did we as a general audience get to this point of less thoughtful processing and caring about this form of intimacy with an actor. In 1992, MTV pioneered reality TV with their new show, The Real World, which showcased real people's personalities in favour of more polished, media-trained performances. The show created a variety of micro-celebrities, arguably the first of their kind. This was achieved through the development of disclosive intimacies. By documenting and sharing their everyday lives on social media, giving followers the impression they are privy to the private and usually inaccessible aspects of life. MTV saw the success of this new style of television, and The Real World soon became their longest running series, dragging on all the way through the 90s and into the early 2000s. But the divide between actor and character was starting to fade, because in the reality genre, they are the same person. This soon became the golden goose of distribution, an actor that comes pre-packaged with media training, conventional beauty standards, and most importantly, a devoted fan base. When celebrity human brand identities are successful, both socially and economically over time, they satisfy the celebrities themselves, consumers, and the industry actors who have stakes in the co-created identity as a resource. So everyone was happy with this new reality-driven style of celebrity.
Well, I don't recognize any of them.
They're influencers. Most of them don't even go inside. They just make their red carpet TikToks and leave.
However, the mega media moguls started to see the cash potential of these influencers, and they would go on to shape distribution and casting as we know it today. Character, actor, celebrity, influencer. I'm throwing a lot around here. So to help explain this gradual change in our view of these roles and their relation to a film's publicity cycle, I will be using the Star Wars franchise as an example. 3 individual trilogies, all released 20 years apart with varying quality. The original trilogy. George Lucas's original Star Wars trilogy was a cultural phenomenon that no one expected. As we know, the film blew up. It followed a relatively standard format for marketing at the time. Talk shows, radio interviews, and reliance on word of mouth helped launch the film into space. The focus of the marketing being centred around the film and its characters. Who's Mark Hamill? Who's Harrison Ford? Who cares? That's Luke Skywalker and Han Solo. The world was on the edge of their seat over Vader being Luke's father, and the films didn't need to rely on star power for ticket sales. In 1983, Return of the Jedi released, wrapping up the story of Luke Skywalker in a poetic final scene, where all of the emotion and action of the series came to a satisfying crescendo.
Hello, I like money.
What inspired you to build a second Krusty Krab right next door to the original?
Money!
Let's make some prequels, said George Lucas, and Star Wars fans went crazy. They couldn't get enough of the Star Wars universe. The prequels were coming, and thanks to a deal with industry giants such as PepsiCo, Tricon and Lego, Darth Maul's face was everywhere. The casting was announced and, hey, I know him. That's Oscar Schindler as a Jedi, and the junkie from Trainspotting. These casting choices were made to bring some gravitas to Star Wars, some serious grit, man. Hell, we even have the girl from Leon the Professional and Heat. In one study conducted by Nelson and Glotfelty, it was found that by replacing an average star with a top star, revenue increased by an average of 16.6 million, while replacing 3 average stars with 3 top stars would increase revenue by an average of 64 million. Combine this strategy with the inherent hype of the film, and we have a financial and cultural giant on our hands. People were going to cinemas just to watch the trailer. The prequel trilogy didn't need word of mouth like its predecessor, because it was already everywhere you looked. Everyone knew this film would be a hit,
Money!
And that influenced choices in casting and advertising. Funnily enough for Phantom Menace, the content of the film didn't really matter. Everyone just wanted to see where the story would go next. The cast did interviews and talk shows, similar to those of the original trilogy. The prequels had posthumous success, let's say, and everyone collectively decided to move on with their lives. However, the Star Wars fandom that formed these parasocial relationships continued to consume media that built upon their favourite universe. Novels about hive mind sex bugs, yes it's real, look it up, and Han and Chewie fighting zombies kept fans happy as they read and listened to stories about their favourite characters exploring an extended universe. On October 30th, 2012, Disney rolled a big truck of cash up to George Lucas's doorstep.
Oh! They drove a dump truck full of money up to my house.
And acquired Lucasfilm and Industrial Light and Magic. Star Wars fans were excited. Disney may breathe new life into the franchise, flesh out their favourite characters, create new What's that, Disney? You just made over half Star Wars media non-canon? I'm sure that won't upset fans.
Please don't hurt me.
Oh. The extended universe meant that fans could pick and choose what they believe happened in the Star Wars universe. This strengthened parasocial relationships in accordance with how the fans saw the franchise. If you wanted to believe that Han and Chewie did fight zombies, then you could, because there was no piece of paper saying that you couldn't.
No.
Imagine for a second if you and your partner had been dating for years. A lot would have happened during that relationship, some good and some bad. Then suddenly, one day, someone turns around and removes the majority of your favourite memories with that person. But this would be detrimental to your relationship, and it was for Star Wars fans. Prior research has examined fans' emotional and behavioural responses to such involuntary parasocial breakups. Emotionally, such parasocial breakups mirror the emotional distress of real breakups, with fans experiencing grief, disappointment, anger, and heartbreak. Disney changed how the characters in Star Wars would be perceived by audiences forever. It was now what they said goes. Burning down Star Wars past is how the company paved way for their own trilogy.
They fly now?
They fly now!
Holy fuck, Matt!
No! We are not going there!
Talking about how Disney messed up the sequels has been done to death and is not the focus here. The publicity cycle for the sequels was wildly different in comparison to the other trilogies. This was because we were now in the age of the internet. Instead of fans fulfilling their need for Star Wars content through traditional interviews discussing the film or speculation over plot and character, we now have the chill interview of John Boyega and Oscar Isaac reading hilarious thirst tweets. Marketing and distribution in film has changed wildly over the course of 50 years, and the Star Wars story reflects this. We started with unknown actors that got unexpectedly catapulted into stardom, then moved on to established actors backed by a giant marketing campaign, and finally ended with Disney trying to manufacture their own superstars by abusing nostalgia and a removal of pre-established parasocial relationships. Mark Hamill will always be Luke Skywalker, just like how Jennifer Lawrence would always be Katniss Everdeen, as these are characters that audiences fell in love with through in-depth storytelling and world building. The majority of audiences didn't connect with the sequel's characters in the same way they did with Luke and Han, or even Anakin and Obi-Wan. The marketing reach was huge. They even had Adam Driver doing comedy sketches about his character on SNL. So why didn't it work? Bad writing.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Yeah, if a character isn't well written, it doesn't matter how many BuzzFeed or Wired interviews the cast do. The audience won't feel a connection to them. This is also the case if a character is too closely related to another. In Star Wars' case, Rey felt like an obvious stand-in for Luke, going through the same character arc in her respective trilogy. Competitive anti-fandom emerges when dislike, whether serious or playful, is directed at a perceived rival of one's beloved fan object. As a result of this competitive anti-fandom, a parasocial relationship can't be formed because the new character appears as a rival in comparison to the old one that we all know and love. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. This happens a lot in media. It's happened to Optimus Prime, it's happened to Charlie Sheen, even Brian the dog. Back to our relationship metaphor. Imagine you come home one day and your partner has been replaced with someone like them, but it is obviously not them. Sure, they have the same role in your life, maybe even some of the same mannerisms, but they aren't your partner. You'd look at them and wish for your old partner to come back, and this would lead to resentment. This resentment over new thing, because old thing was better, is common in our cultural landscape today. This parasocial hatred of a celebrity or public figure is becoming increasingly popular, especially online, as the act of hating is now its own subculture and can even be made to sell a film. Gray has observed that although pleasure and displeasure, or fandom and anti-fandom, could be positioned on opposite ends of a spectrum, they perhaps more likely exist on a Mobius strip, with many fan and anti-fan behaviours and performances resembling, if not replicating each other. People love to hate. Hatred is another form of intimacy. In the past, if a film debuted to overwhelmingly negative reviews, it would be detrimental to that film's production studio. Lead actors might have lost work, theatres might not have screened the film altogether, and the financial loss would be huge. But in modern cinema, a film being bad can actually be a good thing for distributors.
Bitch! Get out the way!
Take War of the Worlds 2025 for example, an absolute travesty of a film and a black mark on Ice Cube's filmography.
The fuck?
Rotten Tomatoes score of 4%, with reviews filming an angry mob against the Cube. Heads of State, which released in the same month as War of the Worlds, stars lovable actors Idris Elba and John Cena. It is a run-of-the-mill, inoffensive action comedy that is exactly what you'd expect it to be. It has 126,000 watches on Letterboxd. Ice Cube sitting in front of a computer screen for 90 minutes has 188,000. This film went viral very quickly after release, as everyone was clamouring on about it in any movie space on the internet, and fell into the so bad it's good category that many past movies have found themselves in. So this begs the question, was the film's publicity cycle extended because the film was inherently bad? Sort of. A false sense of intimacy had been created between the audience and Ice Cube's character, as the people that actually watched this film loved to hate him. Gray describes this phenomenon as bad object anti-fandom is characterised as a general popular dislike and is based on a widespread agreement, whether moral, aesthetic, effective or political, concerning what is bad. Fans of War of the Worlds 2025 do exist, in the same vein of why fans of Sharknado exist. Their disdain for the content has gone so far one way that it's turned back into general enjoyment. This doesn't go unnoticed by distributors. In fact, the opposite. Polarising and controversial films are released constantly and always manage to drum up a lot of publicity. Any press is good press. Remember Morbius? The final nail in the coffin of Jared Leto's career? After months of fans begging for a Morbius re-release, promising Sony that they would go and see it, the film bombed at the box office. Again. No Film School reported that the money made was around $85,000 on Friday alone, per the numbers. That means theatres took in around $85 each. Even if we say tickets averaged around $10, that means less than 9 people saw it in theatre. Apart from being an interesting example of the autonomy of modern fans, it is also interesting to see how the hatred of a character can be so strong as to have real-world implications, both financial and reputational. Redistributing a box office failure that anti-fandoms won't even go see to hate watch is a horrible marketing and distribution mistake. But the crazy thing about all that is that Morbius turned a profit for Sony.
Money!
So the line right now in Hollywood is blurred. Your role as an actor in the giant machine that is the film industry isn't as cut and dry as it used to be. Actors' personal names and lives now are just as relevant as their characters, and being hated for your role in a film isn't as big of a career killer as it used to be. We can't predict whether the Chillin interview is here to stay.
My whole butt crack is hanging out the back of these pants right now.
But even after almost 400 episodes, Hot Ones still brings in views by the millions. In terms of how this affects the distribution of films, it opens up avenues for studios to pre-package an audience for a film before it even has a teaser trailer. Remakes, reboots and sequels are all a part of this marketing technique to ignite nostalgia in an audience, so that they go and see the newest studio investment. Creating that predetermined connection between actor and audience is now just as an important step in a film's publicity cycle as releasing the trailer is. The Vanity Fair interview for Die My Love received almost half the views that the official trailer did, and the interview hardly even talks about the film. When it's all said and done, however, the distribution format is the ever-changing backbone of the film industry that gets these stories onto your screen. I'll leave you with this quote from Guy Pearce. "When I go to a movie, I'm always thrilled if I've seen an actor do something I didn't realise until the end of that movie that that was that person. I love that. Then it's more about the story and the people in the film, rather than star vehicle and blah blah blah."